B105.7, good morning. I'm Bernie Egan, and what a star that just wandered in the studio. I think he's in the wrong place, but that's okay. We'll take it. Weird Al Yankovic's here. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Come on, you guys. I know you want to applaud for him. I know you do. Yeah. This is great because I know you're coming to town on July 3rd to do a show. Did you know that, Al?
What?
Yeah. I didn't know if you were aware of it or not, so I'm telling you right now.
I was just randomly dropping by your station to say hi, but now you mention it, I guess, well, let's promote the show. Why not?
Why not? What the heck? It's July 3rd right there at the White Liaison at White River State Park, which is a fun place to do a show.
I can't wait.
And now, what will people expect when they see this show?
I don't know what they'll expect. You have to ask all the people what they're expecting. I'll tell you what I can do.
What are you going to do?
But their expectations may fall short or they may be exceeded.
Okay, all right.
It's going to be a high energy rock and roll show. I've had the same band for 85 years now.
That's
so
a long time.
They're a tight group of musicians,
and they're old.
Yeah, they're ancient. They're practically falling apart.
Gotta be.
But no, it's a fun show. It's a over 2 hour long show. It's family friendly. It's a multimedia kind of thing. There's a film on a big screen. There's costume change. There's a lot going on. A good time to be had by all.
Now you've done so many hilarious songs. Have you ever done a serious song?
I'm very serious about my songs. They're very serious to me.
What about the 80s? They just seem to be just so huge for you. It seems like every album, you're coming out with all these great songs and you're still doing it. Do you think the 80s were more, I don't know, more fodder for you? Do you think that it was kind of like a better time to do parodies?
Well, I think there's always room for parody and irreverence. I think that there's always going to be pop culture. There's always going to be a hit song. So it kind of doesn't matter what decade you're in. Certainly the music of today is different than it was in the 80s. But I don't know if it ever if parody ever quite goes out of style. I mean, a lot of people think of me as an 80s artist because that's when I first kind of burst on the scene. But my last album, which came out a year and a half ago, was my first top 10 album and my first top 10 single. So I like to think I transcend the decades.
Absolutely. I'll go with that. And by the way, the new album's the only one I don't have. I just want you to know.
We'll get you a copy. I got connections. I'll hook you up.
You know people?
I know people who know people.
And see, I've got the box set, the permanent record.
Ooh.
And, oh, yeah.
All of my best work up until 1993.
Well, and then I got the next one after that. So I'm okay. But I do have an issue with something you did on one of your songs.
What'd I do?
It's really upsetting to me. I work here at B105.7. My name is Bernie Egan, and there's a song here.
We picked up a guy holding a sign that said twine ball or bust. He smelled real bad and he said his name was Bernie.
For you. It's a trivia. It's a loving homage.
I'm not sure. He smelled real bad, and he said his name was Bernie. And it doesn't stop there.
I gave her camera to Bernie and we stood by the ball and we all gathered round and said cheese. Then Bernie ran away with my brand new Instamatic, but at least we got our memories.
Okay, so he's a bad smelling kleptomaniac.
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
your point?
I mean,
what are you trying to say here?
Any name. You could have used Ronnie. You could have used any other name. It's Bernie. There are no good songs with the name Bernie in them, and I
beg to differ. I've got a song called "How You." It's a pretty fly for a rabbi that starts out "How you doing, Bernie?"
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
I try to make up for my bad Bernie karma.
Now, my son is a huge Weird Al fan. He's like 25, and back in the 80s, I got him, the vinyl copies of the albums. He still got them.
Wow.
And he asked me to ask you. And I said no. No, he asked me to ask you why the accordion and not the guitar, for instance.
I didn't make that decision on my own. My parents gave me accordion lessons when I was maybe 7 years old, and so they made that life-altering decision for me. I don't know what I would have chosen on my own, but I'm not sure if it would have been accordion. But thankfully they did, because if they'd chosen a more normal instrument, maybe my career would have taken a much different trajectory. I'd be normal Al now.
Oh, we can't have that.
Yeah, awful thought.
So you started out, and a lot of the songs got played on the Dr. Demento show with like My Bologna and all that stuff.
Oh, yes.
It's so funny to hear those and then hear just all of a sudden you explode in the 80s with a band and everything. What was it like the first time you heard yourself on the radio?
Well, the very first time was even before My Bologna. I mean, I would send Dr. Demento tapes that I recorded in my bedroom. Just awful songs recorded on a little 39-cent cassette tape. And I mailed it into the Dr. Demento show. And one Sunday night I was listening to the radio, and all of a sudden I hear my song. And I'm thinking, is somebody playing my tape in the house? What's going on here? And then I realized it's coming out of the radio. And I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it.
That's incredible. Now, what about, though, when all of a sudden stations are playing you all over the country? I mean, not just Sunday night, not just Dr. Demento. You're being played everywhere. Then that had to be huge.
It was pretty bizarre. I mean, and that actually happened, again, before I had a record deal. I think another one, Rides the Bus, was the first song of mine to actually go viral back before there was a YouTube or anything like that. Dr. Demento, I actually played it live on the Dr. Demento show, and he recorded it and played the air check of the show as the master tape of the song. And that song was so popular that radio stations around the world were bootlegging it. In fact, I was like 20 years old at the time. I was still in college, and I would get home from class, and my roommate would tell me, "You got a call from New Zealand. They're asking about another one rides the bus, and they want to interview you." And it's just very bizarre. It just like blew up worldwide.
That is so great, though. I mean, it just kind of took off for you after that. And then, I mean, do you ever just sit down and say, "All right, I got to write a parody song"? I mean, how does that happen for you?
Usually in the middle of the night, that's when all the best ideas come. So, and it's hard for me to write on the road. It's hard for me to write in a lot of normal situations. But if I'm at home and it's quiet, and usually the middle of the night, I'm sitting around and the alpha waves of my brain start to fire off in a particular way. That's when the best ideas come.
So, okay, you hear a song on the radio. You hear, for instance, Like a Virgin or Beat It, and does your mind just go, wait, I know, Eat It, or Like a Surgeon, and then you go from there? Or
kind of, yeah. I mean, I don't always listen to the radio with the express purpose of thinking, how can I mess this one up?
It just comes to you that way?
Yeah, a lot of the ideas are spontaneous, and sometimes I have to pore over the Billboard charts and figure out what would be good targets, and then consider variations on a theme and be more methodical that way. But the best ideas are ones where I'm just driving along in my car and I go, "Oh, I got it. This would be great."
Yeah. And have you ever had one where you started it and you couldn't make it work? It just just wouldn't happen for you?
Well, sometimes there's some parodies which are more like one joke parodies. Like it's kind of funny up until you reveal like the punchline or the gag, and then it doesn't really sustain a full song. And a lot of times in that case, maybe I'll throw it in as a live song in my medley in the tour.
I love the medleys on the albums.
Thanks.
I love
the polka
those
medleys. The polka medleys.
Yes, the first time I heard one, I was laughing so hard I just couldn't believe it. I woke people up. It was just like so hilarious.
Well, yeah. Well, oddly enough, like a lot of those rock and roll songs sound a lot better done polka style. Like the angst really comes through a lot more.
It really does. So we have so much to look forward to on July 3rd, and definitely get those tickets, because this is a rare opportunity to see Weird Al live, and I know we're all looking forward to it. I know I am. So I just want to thank you for stopping by. I know you're a busy guy. You got lots going on, and thank you so much.
My pleasure, Bernie. And by the way, just for the record, you don't smell bad at all.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and thanks for stopping by B105.7.
Thank you.